I would like to introduce Amy Newman, Assistant Project Manager for the Cariboo Waggon Road Restoration Project. I'd like to introduce Richard Wright, Project Manager for the Cariboo Waggon Road Restoration Project. And my name is Paul Clark. I'm a Director with the New Pathways to Gold Society. Founded in 2007, New Pathways to Gold Society is a non-profit organization. New Pathways to Gold Society partners with First Nations communities and all levels of government to develop and deliver projects supporting local economies and creating heritage tourism assets while advancing Indigenous reconciliation in the Hope-Barkerville corridor. The Cariboo Waggon Road Restoration Project will also provide longer-term economic benefits via increased visitation and use of the route, which will benefit businesses in the hospitality, tourism, and recreation industries. As a New Pathways to Gold Society Director, I would like to happily announce the $100,000 that we have received in Targeted Regional Tourism Development Initiative funding that's been awarded to our society in May to begin work on Phase 2 of the Cariboo Waggon Road Restoration Project.
With the new funding we've received, we're really looking forward to moving north from the Lac-La-Hache area right up to Barkerville this season. We've got new maps we can work with, new funds to work with, and we're going to continue telling the stories of what is arguably one of the most important roads in Canada. Keep in mind that it was Barkerville Gold and the Cariboo Waggon Road which brought BC into Canada's Confederation. So it's an extremely important historical route. And not only that, it is virtually on the same route for at least half of it on the Hudson Bay Brigade Trail, and the Hudson Bay Brigade Trail in turn is on top of Indigenous roads and trails that have been there for probably 10,000 years. And those stories are as important as the road itself.
It's true. We learned some fascinating stories as we've been gathering information for the writing of the guide and to give to the public these fantastic stories of people, for example, the Spanish Ranch near Clinton. Not many people really are aware of the fact that Mexicans came up to British Columbia as early as the 1840s and then joined in with the Canadian Gold Rush in 1862 to become packers. I was in touch with Wendy Morton. Her great-grandfather was a Mexican packer during the Cariboo Gold Rush. His legacy is the settlement of Dog Creek, Valenzuela Lake, and Raphael Mason Road, which is a branch of the Cariboo Waggon Road. But all of these stories of people that were involved with the route, whether they worked on it, whether they packed on it, whether they surveyed it, whether they traveled it, it's a multicultural route, and that's one of the big things that we really want people to know.
A good example of the multiculturalism is a fellow named Frank Sylvester, who was one of the first packers merchants to come up the Cariboo Road. In fact, he came up before it was a road. He came up 2 years earlier when it was still a trail. And he mentions that he was the only European on that pack train. He was the leader, he was the owner, but he mentioned specifically that he was led by native guides, and all of his workers and packers were Mexicans. And he goes into great detail about how different the Mexicans were than either First Nations or the Europeans, all the equipment that they used and that kind of thing, how they packed their horses and why. And so that's the kind of stories that we're finding, and that is as important, as we say, as the actual roadbed itself, built by the Royal Engineers, we should add, built by the Royal Engineers in 1862 to 1865, along with other contractors. As Paul mentioned, this is Phase 2 of the Cariboo Waggon Road project. Phase 1 started 18 months ago in Barkerville when we dug through old Heritage Branch files as we gradually pieced together the district lot maps showing the route of the Cariboo Waggon Road. We no longer have to do that in Phase 2. We've got some beautiful new maps that we can work with. given that these maps show the route in 1912, not 1862. But one of the things that we have found is that the Cariboo Waggon Road shifted and moved over the generations. Given that the road was put in 62 and our maps are 1912, or a lot of the maps are 1912, we've got 2 or 3 generations of stagecoach drivers and freight wagons there that were using the road. And the road shifted around mud holes, swamps, hills, and that sort of thing. And that's what we're finding. But we're really anxious to get going on this second phase, which will take us from mile 127 right up to Barkerville.
It's a really important project because it hits on so many levels, and it does belong to all of us here in British Columbia. And it has a fantastic history that includes the Indigenous people, Chinese, Mexican, whites, Europeans. It encompasses so many cultures. It really is a multicultural project. I got involved a couple of years ago, along with Richard Wright, the project manager. New Pathways asked me to become involved and help Richard find the maps, find the route, which we did. And then last summer, we began the process of actually getting on the ground with our maps. Now that we knew where the road was, get on the ground, find it, to actually walk the route of the Cariboo Waggon Road. And it was also Richard's idea that we design a guide for the Cariboo Waggon Road. It's a thrilling project because, of course, you're finding the road on paper, and then you go to it in person, and it comes alive. It's like a treasure hunt, really. And to travel it, to get on our e-bikes and cycle this route, find out what it was really about on the ground, because that's so different than looking on a map and trying to figure out, you know, where does the road go and what's it like. Writing the guidebook was a great way to bring that to life, our experiences, and to pass them on to users. And that is our idea with continuing the guide, having it be a living document. The guide to the Cariboo Waggon Road is available on the New Pathways to Gold website. The guide is for everybody. Anyone who wants to travel the route, whether you're in a car, whether you're hiking, walking, trekking, cycling, it will be updated regularly so that you can print it off, take it with you, and be confident about the directions that you're getting. They'll be where you want to go.
So what we're going to do this summer in 2021 is what we think of as backfilling. We're going to re-travel from Clinton to 127, and through that area we're going to refine some of the routes and trails that we've already discovered. We're going to put up interpretive signs and do some trail building. Then we move forward from 127 and 150 mile, hopefully right up to Barkerville, using these excellent new maps that we have found that were sent to us from Land Survey Office. These detailed maps here that show us the route and the road as of 1912. So we're going to ground truth. We're going to go step by step, following these maps that show us where the stern-wheelers docked, where farmers and ranchers had their homes and houses, and we're going to work right through to Quesnel and then up the end of the Cariboo Road to Barkerville. Along the way, of course, we'll also be rediscovering, in some cases, places like the Hudson Bay Brigade Trail and the indigenous trails that the Hudson Bay followed. And they point us in the direction of some of the early First Nations settlements, such as Hatzel Village and the areas around Lac La Hache and Canham Lake. We'll be able to rediscover those and see how they fit in with the story of the Cariboo Waggon Road and how important they were to the development of the province.
Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Get out on the Cariboo Waggon Road this summer and explore. Whether you're cycling, whether you're walking, hiking, or in your car for a Sunday afternoon drive. Enjoy all that the Cariboo Waggon Road has to offer. And while you're doing that, make sure to follow all the COVID-19 protocols. Thanks a lot again for watching, and have a great time out there exploring the Cariboo Waggon Road.
I would like to formally, therefore, also thank the Ministry of Tourism and the BC government for their support, and note how we look forward to working with our partner, the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast Tourism Association, which is administering these funds. I'd also like to announce that we have already begun work on getting Phase 2 launched, and that when completed, the work will greatly enhance an iconic British Columbia historical trail.